My mom texted. "We've all agreed, it's best if you stay out of the family from now on." I replied, "Understood." Then I pulled out of the real estate deal they'd been banking on. 48 hours later, my mom was crying, my brother was threatening legal action, and their realtor sent me a agree message. "Did you mean to tank the closing?" I smiled and wrote. I didn't lose $180,000 on this deal. And thank God for that. Because I was this close to wiring the funds when the text came and that changed everything. That money was meant to be my contribution. No, scratch that, my entire involvement in helping my parents buy a house. For Ryan and his new wife. That's how they pitched it. An investment in family. Something solid, something they'd pay me back for. "It'll be in all our names," they said. "You're securing the loan, but it's for your brother's future." They made it sound like I'd be honored to do it. Like I should be grateful they trusted me with this role. I wasn't born yesterday. I knew what was happening. They didn't have the credit. They didn't have the income. But I did. I'd built it quietly, steadily, for years while they blew money on upgrades for Ryan's wedding, a kitchen remodel that never finished, and a half-finished lake investment property they couldn't afford and made me co-sign on. Temporarily. This time, I told myself, I'd get everything in writing. No. Temporary. I made sure my name was on the agreement. I reviewed the mortgage documents myself. I had it all lined up. I wasn't going to be the fool again. But then, 2 days before the transfer, I got a text from my mom. "We've all agreed, it's best if you stay out of the family from now on." That was the entire message. No punctuation besides the period. It didn't even feel real at first. I had to reread it 3 times to be sure I wasn't imagining it. I didn't ask who "we" was. I already knew. I replied with one word. "Understood." Then I opened my laptop and drafted an email to the title company and realtor. I formally withdrew from the transaction. No explanations. Just a clear, final decision. The silence that followed lasted almost a day. Then the calls started. My mom called me 5 times before 8 a.m. the next morning. Then it was my dad. Then Ryan. He tried calling from 3 different numbers. I didn't answer a single one. I was done with the explanations. I didn't need to justify walking away from people who'd shown me exactly how little they valued me. By noon, I got a message from their realtor. The guy had been incredibly smug during the process, barely acknowledging me even though my name and money were holding the deal together. His text said, "Did you mean to tank the closing?" I replied, "Yes." He didn't respond. That evening, Ryan showed up at my place. He was outside yelling, banging on my door like a madman. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail that said, and I quote, "You think you're smart? This is gonna get legal fast." I saved it. At 9:27 p.m., my mom texted me again. It was long. Something about how she was emotional, how she didn't mean what she said. "We all say things we don't mean sometimes." Then came the guilt bomb. A photo of me and Ryan as kids, covered in ice cream, with the caption, "Family forever." I didn't respond. What they didn't understand is that I'd been slowly stepping back from them for years. I just never had the guts to cut the rope. I always gave in. Always bailed them out. Always made excuses for their entitlement. They never treated me like a real person with a life and boundaries. Just a resource. A tool to use when convenient. But this time, they pushed too far. They cut me out before the money was in their hands. So I walked. Calmly. Quietly. And the fallout hadn't even begun. The morning after I pulled out of the deal, the group chat lit up like it hadn't in months. Suddenly, I was interesting again. Ryan kicked it off. "You're really going to blow up everything over one dumb text?" Then my dad jumped in. "This is childish. You're hurting your own family." "For what? Pride?" And then my mom, trying to spin it into guilt before even attempting an apology. "I didn't mean what I said, Kurt. You're taking it too literally. It was a rough day. Can we please talk like adults?" No apology. Just revisionist history. No mention of the fact that they uninvited me from my own bloodline 48 hours ago. Now they were panicking because they realized the bank wasn't going to overlook the fact that 60% of the financing, and the only person with a stable income, just disappeared. I didn't respond. Instead, I called my lawyer. Told him I needed documentation drawn up immediately to sever myself completely from any ties to the property. He was surprised but not shocked. He'd met my family before during the lake property fiasco. He knew how they operated, entitled, manipulative, always just one misstep away from turning on each other. He said he'd have the paperwork ready within 48 hours. At noon, I got another message. This time from the realtor. Mark. Slick guy, always smiling, always talking like a sports announcer. He'd barely spoken to me directly during the whole process, just enough to make sure I signed what I was supposed to. Now he was all over me. I just got off the phone with your family. Everyone's a mess over here. Did you really mean to tank this closing? I sent back. Yes. 15 minutes later, he replied. You've cost them a fortune in penalties. You're not just backing out of a deal. You're sabotaging it. I didn't reply. So he added another one, like he couldn't help himself. You better not contact me again. I won't work with you on any future properties. This was insane. I just screenshotted it and archived it. I didn't need him. And I wasn't planning on buying anything tied to my family ever again. That night, Ryan called me 4 times. Then he texted, I'm serious. This isn't over. I'm talking to a lawyer. You're going to pay for what you did. There it was. I forwarded it to my attorney. He called me after reading the entire message thread and said something that stuck with me. Good thing they showed you who they really were before the wire hit. You dodged a bomb. The next day, the tone shifted from panic to pressure. My dad emailed me a PDF titled, Proposed Family Resolution. It was a joke. It said that if I didn't want to co-own the house, I could still help by wiring $50,000 as a family gift to support Ryan and Megan's transition. In return, they'd forgive any misunderstandings and agree not to pursue further discussion of the issue. Forgive me. I didn't even reply. My mom followed it up with a voicemail. She was crying, or pretending to, saying Ryan was spiraling, Megan was devastated, the whole family was breaking apart. She said she couldn't sleep, that she didn't recognize me anymore. I listened to the entire message once, saved it, and sent it to my lawyer too. Then, predictably, Ryan escalated. He sent a long text saying I'd made a verbal agreement and that his attorney said it could qualify as a breach. He said he was exploring damages. I knew what he was doing. They couldn't get the house without me, so they were going to try and shake me down instead. My lawyer called me right after reading it. There's nothing here. You didn't sign the final contract. There's no liability. It's empty noise. But save everything, just in case. It was pathetic. They went from banishing me from the family to begging, to threatening, to trying to gaslight me into giving them free money. I used to feel sorry for Ryan. Now I just felt disgusted. And the funny part was, they still thought I was going to fold. They didn't realize the game had changed. I wasn't negotiating. I wasn't reacting. I wasn't playing by their script anymore. But they weren't done yet. And neither was I. 3 days after the collapse, the closing date came and went. I almost forgot about it until I got a voicemail from the realtor. Not Mark this time, it was his assistant, Brooke. Her voice was tight, polite, and shaking just enough to be interesting. Hi Kurt, just calling to confirm that we've removed you officially from all documents. We'll be issuing notice to the sellers regarding the failed close. Mark would also like to inform you that due to the unusual nature of this experience, he will no longer be able to work with you or any of your affiliates moving forward. Thank you. A few hours later, Mark couldn't help himself. He sent a final message, like some dramatic exit line. You blew up your own family's life over nothing. Don't ever call me again. I replied, Don't worry. I don't need you. I wasn't bluffing. I'd already connected with a new agent through a friend, someone who specialized in solo buyers. I wasn't about to let their mess keep me from moving forward with my own plans. I had my eye on a property in Boulder, smaller but beautiful. It felt good. Clean. Mine. Meanwhile, the chaos on their end was only beginning. Ryan's dream house? Gone. The seller pulled out. Apparently, they'd already received a better offer after ours collapsed. The penalties were real too. My parents lost their earnest money, close to $20,000. Ryan blamed me for that. He texted, This is blood money. You'll regret it. I didn't reply. Then, a week later, things got weird. My mom's Facebook went dark. Normally, she posted like clockwork, photos of Ryan and Megan, inspirational quotes about loyalty, and subtle digs at me that only I seemed to notice. Then suddenly, radio silence. I got an email from one of her friends. An old high school teacher of mine, oddly enough. She said, "Just wanted to check in. Your mom said you'd been hospitalized? Hope you're okay." Hospitalized? I called the teacher back and clarified. She was shocked. She said my mom told the church prayer group I was having a breakdown after sabotaging Ryan's wedding gift and was in some kind of rehab facility. I almost laughed out loud. They were trying to control the narrative. Since they couldn't get my money, they were going to destroy my credibility instead. The next day, Megan posted a picture of the house that never closed, tagging it as our dream that was stolen. No mention of me, but the comments were filled with vague shade. People can be so selfish. Family doesn't mean what it used to. Some wounds never heal. Ryan posted a photo of a pile of moving boxes with a caption, "Starting from scratch. Thanks to someone we trusted." It was clear they were trying to make me the villain. Publicly. Privately. Legally. But I wasn't rattled. Because I still had cards they didn't know about. A week before all this happened, Ryan had asked me to help him co-sign a small personal loan too. Different deal, different bank. I'd gotten all the documents in advance. I hadn't signed, but I'd reviewed everything. I knew exactly what he told the bank to get pre-approved. And he'd lied. Badly. About his income. About his wife's employment. There were email trails. I saved everything. I wasn't planning to use it, until now. They wanted a war. They were about to get one. If they had just shut up and accepted what happened, they could have at least salvaged some dignity. But they didn't. They pushed. They slandered. They tried to ruin my name, not just within the family but publicly. They wanted war. So I gave them one. But I did it my way, clean, methodical, and quiet. It started with the personal loan application Ryan had asked me to co-sign a month before the house situation blew up. I had the whole paper trail, emails, texts, screenshots. Ryan had fabricated Megan's employment and salary. He claimed she was working remotely for a firm in Texas. The problem? That company didn't exist. I checked. I wasn't planning on doing anything with that until now. But since they wanted to drag me through the dirt, I decided it was time. I drafted a short email to the bank's fraud and compliance division. No drama, no threats, just documents and a brief explanation. This application includes false financial information submitted by the primary applicant. I declined to co-sign, but felt obligated to report the data provided. I didn't expect a quick response, but I got one 2 days later. They thanked me, said they'd be launching a review and would take appropriate action. Then silence, until Ryan texted, furious. "You reported me? My F********* ING account is frozen. You better fix this." I didn't respond. I wasn't going to explain myself to someone who thought lying on a federal application was just bending the truth. That same day, I started digging into the lake property. The same one they begged me to co-sign on 3 years ago with promises it'd be flipped in 6 months. I never saw a dime from it. Never even got a thank you. They used my name to secure the mortgage, then left me tied to it like an anchor. Turns out, they hadn't paid property taxes in over 2 years. Total debt? Just under $5,000. The county hadn't moved on it yet, but the window was closing. I called a tax attorney and explained the situation. He walked me through the process of initiating a forced sale, since my name was still on the title. Within 48 hours, we filed formal notice of intent. That's when things exploded. My mom called 12 times in one day. Left a voicemail saying I was disgracing the family and humiliating them in front of the entire community. My dad emailed a threat that he'd drag me into court for defamation. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Then I filed a claim for the unpaid utility bills on that property. $3,870 still in my name. I had every invoice. I filed the claim in small claims court, had it delivered to Ryan's workplace. Publicly. Loudly. Then I did one more thing. The move that changed the tone entirely. I sent an anonymous tip to Megan's employer. Just a short message. Your employee may be involved in a mortgage fraud application using your company's name as false income verification. Suggest verifying with your legal department. I didn't need to watch the fallout. I just needed to know the dominoes were falling. That same week, Ryan posted a cryptic message online. Some people spend their lives pretending they're better than you. But the truth always comes out. Watch your back. I took a screenshot and smiled. What they didn't understand was that I didn't want revenge for the sake of pain. I wanted consequences. Real ones. The kind that stick. The kind they couldn't cry their way out of or blame on. Misunderstandings. They told me to stay out of the family. They made their decision. I was just honoring it. It had been 3 weeks since I sent that last email. 3 weeks since the loan account froze, the tax attorney filed the for sale notice, and the lawsuit hit Ryan's work desk. 3 weeks of total silence from me, and escalating madness from them. They weren't just unraveling. They were panicking. I got word through a mutual acquaintance, one of the few I still trusted, that Megan had been let go from her job. Quietly. No public drama. No social media posts. But she'd been called into HR for clarification on employment documentation. I didn't ask for more details. I didn't need to. The lake property? That hit next. The county filed an official delinquency notice. I received a copy, as co-owner, with a formal warning that if the balance wasn't cleared in 30 days, the sale would proceed. I sent the notice to my parents via certified mail. No letter. No signature. Just the government's seal and the unpaid bill. My dad tried to call after that. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail asking if I was really willing to let everything burn down out of spite. As if I hadn't tried for years to hold things together while they tore me apart piece by piece. The house deal was dead. That was already clear. But what wasn't clear, what they couldn't accept, was that I had moved on. I'd closed on my new place in Boulder 2 days before. 1-bedroom condo. Mountain views. Clean contract. No shared names. No whispered favors. Just mine. For the first time in my life, everything around me felt like it actually belonged to me. I started going on hikes again. I joined a local gym. Met people who didn't know me as the responsible older brother, or the guy who always pays for dinner. People who knew nothing about my past, my family, or the chaos I'd left behind. It felt like freedom. Real, tangible freedom. And just when I thought the dust might finally be settling, they tried one last move. A letter arrived from a lawyer. Their lawyer. Inside was a claim that I had intentionally sabotaged the real estate deal to inflict emotional and financial distress on Ryan and Megan. That my actions were calculated and malicious, and they were considering filing for damages. The letter was vague, padded with legal fluff, and obviously meant to intimidate. I called my attorney, who had already received a copy. He was amused. "They've got nothing," he said. "No contract, no agreement, no cause. This is a bluff. If they file anything, we'll bury them with counterclaims." He advised I do nothing. No response. No escalation. Just let them flail. So I did. Instead of replying, I posted a photo of my new balcony view. Just trees, sky, and silence. No caption. But I made sure it was public. A few hours later, I got a text from an unknown number. "You think this is over? You'll regret embarrassing us." I blocked the number. They were still trying to drag me into the fire they started. But I wasn't going back. I had already won. And they knew it. About 2 months after I posted that photo from my balcony, everything stopped. No more texts. No more emails. No more secondhand threats. Whatever storm they'd been trying to whip up finally collapsed under its own weight. And I knew why. It wasn't just that they lost. It was that they finally understood I wasn't bluffing. Their lawyer never filed anything. My attorney sent me an update saying the matter had resolved itself, which was a legal way of saying they tucked their tails and backed off. No apology, no admission, just a silent retreat. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I just moved on. The lake property sold at auction 3 weeks later. The buyer paid a fraction of what it was worth. My parents didn't get anything. They were still underwater on the taxes. Ryan called the county office 3 times to try and contest it. I know this because I saw a thread about it in a local homeowners Facebook group where someone shared that a young couple's dream getaway had been foreclosed on. Dreams are fragile when they're built on lies. Meanwhile, I finally finished furnishing my condo. It took longer than I thought, mostly because I'd never actually had a place of my own that felt like home. Every time I bought something, cutlery, art for the walls, even a dumb little plant for the bathroom, it felt like stitching up a part of me that had been frayed for years. The house I helped them lose. It got relisted and sold within days. The seller ended up getting more from another buyer. I checked the closing record. Ryan and Megan weren't even backup offers anymore. Their credit was tanked. Megan never found another job. They were living at my parents' place, all four of them back under the same roof. The picture-perfect life they tried to manufacture online disappeared. They deleted me everywhere. Social media, group chats, phone contacts, I was erased. But not because they were over it. They just couldn't stand to watch me be okay. I got one last letter. Handwritten. From my mom. 2 pages, folded neatly, no return address. It arrived with no warning, like a ghost from a past I thought I'd already buried. She didn't apologize. Not really. She said she missed having all her children together. That she never imagined things would go this far. That she hoped time would soften things. There was a sentence near the end that stuck with me. You have no idea how hard it's been for us. That was all I needed to hear. That even after all this, they still made it about themselves. I placed the letter in a drawer. I didn't rip it up. I didn't frame it. I just put it somewhere it couldn't bother me. And that was it. No apology. No reckoning. Just quiet, deliberate separation. Since then, I've changed jobs. I've made friends who don't know my history. I've started seeing someone, slowly, cautiously, but honestly. I've rebuilt. Not out of revenge. Not out of spite. But out of peace. Something I never had in that family. Sometimes people say things like, you can't choose your family. But I disagree. You can choose not to answer the phone. You can choose not to rescue people who treat your kindness like currency. You can choose not to be the fallback plan for people who never plan to treat you with respect. And you can choose to walk away. The text that started it all still sits in my archive. We've all agreed, it's best if you stay out of the family from now on. They were right. It was the best thing I ever did. The first update. About 4 months after everything went quiet, I was standing in line at a local coffee shop near my condo. It was a Saturday morning, and the place was packed. I wasn't really paying attention, just half awake, scrolling through my phone, until I heard the barista call out a name. Order for Megan. I didn't look up. It's a common enough name. But then she walked right past me. Same Megan. Ryan's wife. No makeup. No smile. Just quiet, tired eyes and a hoodie too big for her. She didn't notice me. Or maybe she did, and chose not to. Either way, she grabbed her drink and walked out. 15 minutes later, I looked her up, curiosity, not interest. Turns out, she had quietly taken a job at a small insurance office nearby. Different field. Lower title. Probably less pay. But what got me was her last name. She'd changed it. Not to Ryan's. Back to her maiden name. It could have meant nothing. Maybe it was professional. Maybe it was legal cleanup after the job debacle. Or maybe, just maybe, things at home weren't going as well as they wanted the world to think. I didn't dig further. I didn't need to. But for a brief moment, I sat back in my seat, sipping my coffee, and thought. Some fires don't need gasoline. Sometimes you just walk away. And they burn themselves out.